I don't care if you are over the age of 40, over the age of 50, over the age of 60, or even 70, you can absolutely grapple every day if you follow these principles. The problem is with most blokes, they don't follow these principles and they suffer for it. For those of you that are new to the channel, welcome. My name's Paul Green. I'm a former British paratrooper, and in my time over the past 12 years, I have trained thousands of elite soldiers, got a lot of unique experience from that, and now I coach grapplers. I'm a grappling addict myself. I've got 7 years of grappling experience, and grapplers are currently my people. So I want to do my small part to ensure that they can grapple more and they can grapple better, more effectively for many decades to come. If that sounds like something that you'd find useful, subscribe to the channel, stick around, like this post or whatever, and yeah, enjoy. In this video, I'm going to be talking about these principles in which if you do, and the better you do them, the more you will be able to grapple. That is literally all of our goal. All of our goals, that our ultimate goal as a grappler. You know, if we can grapple more, we develop faster, right? So I am going to talk about the most important things, and I'm hoping that you literally watch this video and laugh at how simple these are. I'm going to try and explain a little bit more detail on each one of them as well, just so it really resonates with you. And as I said, the aim of this video is to get you grappling more often without any of the shenanigans that comes with it. The first one I'm going to be talking about is mindset, right? And I was fortunate enough to be in Austin a couple of months ago, and I trained at Kingsway under Gordon Ryan, John Danaher, and they're on the pro sessions as well, and the top athletes in the world, the best athletes in the world in the jiu-jitsu space, they grapple mostly twice per day, like most days of the week. Monday to Friday, they're grappling twice. 9:30 session, 12:30 session. And then on weekends, I think they do one session per day. So the Saturday and the Sunday, they do one session per day. The amount of mat time in which they accumulate is the reason that they are the best grapplers in the world, undoubtedly. However, it's not just about mat time, it's your approach to grappling. I am not a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu coach. I've coached a few sessions here and there as a bit of fun, but I'm not a person who is an expert in Jiu-Jitsu. I don't consider myself to be an expert in Jiu-Jitsu, so I'm not going to guide your technique on Jiu-Jitsu. However, concepts to approach Jiu-Jitsu to improve your grappling, mat time, or your longevity in this sport is absolutely something that I can advise on. Now, Gordon Ryan, I think, said a couple of months ago when he was doing a seminar, he basically said he only spars hard once or twice on a training session, right? And everything else is chilled out, it's problem solving. And that is a very common theme, you know, with the John Danaher team, Kingsway, Rocher, whatever you want to call their team, New Wave. So their approach to training is every sparring session, every bit of technique isn't the world's. It is at a reduced intensity, and they genuinely are ambassadors for Jiu-Jitsu is a thinking sport. You leave them sessions and your head is hurting, not your fucking body. Do you know what I mean? So if we genuinely believe Jiu-Jitsu is a thinking sport, then why are we using so much physical energy to, you know, take part in the sport? Why does our body feel like shit after we've done these sport, after we've done a session? Because the reason I'm talking about this is if we calmed it down more often, then we'd be able to do more mat time. It sounds obvious. Hopefully you appreciate that. If you were to calm it down, you'd be able to do more grappling. And I consider Jiu-Jitsu, as much as it's complex as hell, I would still place it in an endurance bracket. And I know that sounds mental. However, I like to do it for this reason. In the endurance world, right? Well, to be fair, right? Grappling, muscular endurance, all the muscles are constantly working here, there, and everywhere. The rounds vary in duration from 5 minutes up to, 5 hours in some of the sub-only crazy matches. Now, let's bring this back to reality and give you some value. If you follow an endurance type of rule with your grappling, it will be extremely useful to you. Something called the 80-20 rule. Now, I know some of you that watch this channel have an endurance background in running, and what it is 80% of your volume is relaxed, methodical, slow-paced, where you can problem solve effectively, and 20% of your volume is all out. Now, think about that. A lot of people that grapple, every sparring session, most sparring sessions, it's all out pace. Now, if you adopt that mindset, then your grappling volume, 80% of it is brain function, improving your brain function, improving your problem solving, because again, John Danaher is massive on improving your ability to problem solve. That is probably the crucial part of how he coaches. And 20% is the pace, right? By doing that, by adopting that into your own mindset, into your own grappling week, you would undoubtedly be able to increase the amount of mat time in which you currently do without any of the adverse effects. So that is mindset. Mindset, maybe a slight mindset shift towards your grappling to improve the amount of mat time that you can do. The next one we're going to talk about is fuel, right? I was going to put this first, but absolutely mindset comes first and then fuel. If you're grappling every day, you need to be eating a serious amount of calories. Now, I'm going to bring up one of my clients who is a black belt. He's running a gym in the UK, and I'm just going to talk about the amount of fuel that he's currently eating, right? And what I'm going to talk about specifically is why he is eating that much food. So get his nutrition plan up. He's on 5,000 calories per day, right? And he grapples most days. He's also lifting twice a week. And now he's just been introduced to cardio sessions off the mats. He's doing a lot, right? So what I want you to do in order for you to figure out that number is work out the amount of calories in which you need to eat per day based off your activity level. Now, what you need to do in order to get this number, which is a prediction, is a calorie calculator will typically ask you for your body weight, current body weight, your current body fat percentage, which you can work out online with pictures, kind of slot yourself in there. And it's kind of basically working out a formula to predict your muscle mass, right? How much muscle mass is a massive influencer to how many calories you're burning. After that, you are then asked, how active are you, right? So if you are doing jiu-jitsu every day, that's probably 7 to 10 hours of jiu-jitsu. You are very active. That will pump out a number and it'll give your calories a calorie recommendation. It might be 4,000 calories, it might be 4,300 calories, right? Get that number and then slot it into 4 or 5 meals for yourself, right? Meals that you enjoy eating, that are very simple to prepare, that are not overly complicated for you to make. Very important that, because I've had clients in the past that want a really complex meal plan. They want 10 ingredients, they want it to be more enjoyable. But then after 2 weeks of them actually having to prepare these meals, they give up because of the stress that meal prep actually creates. It just needs to be functional. It needs to be food that you enjoy, that you can consume, because you are pretty much living like a professional athlete. You need to fuel your body like a professional athlete in order to feel like a professional athlete and recover like one. So, very important that you get the number, but the most important thing is what you do in order to react if the number doesn't work. And what I mean by that specifically is, you've got the number, which is 5,000 calories. Now, basically, you want to maintain your current weight. If you're losing weight, you're not eating enough calories. If you're gaining weight, you're eating too many calories. So it's almost more important to be able to make that fine adjustment to your calories if your scale weight goes up or goes down. You want to be staying the same weight. Different story if you want to lose weight or you want to gain weight. That's a separate video completely. If you want to hear that, just comment below. Like, I want to hear some more weight loss stuff for jiu-jitsu, and I'll get onto that. It is on my list. So, for you, there's absolutely no chance that you can do jiu-jitsu really often, problem solve, recover from jiu-jitsu without the required food intake. And it's a very common thing. Jiu-jitsu athletes are commonly very undernourished. They barely eat anywhere near the required amount of food. And It shows. It shows in the way their body is. Do you know what I mean? A lot of jiu-jitsu athletes are very small, like they look very frail, and they're just not eating enough food. So if you stick to the required fuel intake, what you will feel instantly is going to be insane. You're going to feel more energy. You're going to feel better ability to manage stress. It's going to improve how you sleep. There's going to be so many fast benefits to making sure you hit these numbers. So that's principle number 2. Principle number 3 is strength. The stronger your joints are, the greater ease in which they can absorb the forces in which you place on them. So by adding maybe 2 or maximum 3 sessions per week into your arsenal, in which you specifically focus on the strengthening of your joints, even though it's extra volume, stronger joints means easier jiu-jitsu. So that jiu-jitsu session that was a little bit tough, in a few months' time will be easy because you're operating at a higher level of strength. Hopefully that makes sense. What I would do with this is people that do jiu-jitsu that are looking to increase their strength, one mistake that they make a lot of is overreaching too early. Now, jiu-jitsu should be the priority. 3 sessions per week. If you think that you can commit to 3 sessions per week, what I would do is err on the conservative side and make sure that you can stick to 2. Blokes that I have grappling every day, most days, are doing 2 sessions per week. The hobbyists that aren't running businesses, they're doing more lifting sessions, and the people that aren't on the mat because they're injured, they are pretty much training in the gym most days, whether that be rehab, cardio, or strength training. So, strength is a very important principle, and if you are not strengthening your joints, you are choosing every single day to let your body become weaker, when that is absolutely a terrible idea, right? Next one is recovery. Essentially, if you adopt all this mindset, the strength training, it becomes less about performing at your best every single session, and it becomes more about being able to recover quickly. And the body has a weird way of just coping with the amount of stress that you're putting under, and it will start to recover faster. However, avoid the typical recovery methods, the massages, the cupping, the acupuncture, the saunas, the ice baths, the painkillers, red light therapy, infrared saunas, jacuzzis. Avoid them, because you know for a fact what the best form of recovery is. The best form of recovery is sleep, right? So get off your phone on a night and get to bed 2 hours earlier. And I know that is extremely difficult to do, and it's easier to go and sit in a sauna for half an hour after you've trained. It's easier. However, we know what the best form of recovery is. We're not stupid. Sleep is the best form of recovery. Fuck all of that shit off and prioritize getting 7, 8, 9 hours sleep per night. You will feel 10 times better than you do when you're doing them other things. So, like I said, the shift becomes more about how fast you can recover to how well you can perform every single day. But, leads nicely to the next one. Last principle, last but certainly not least, is data. Tracking, right? Tracking your mat time, tracking your fuel intake, tracking your strength sessions, and tracking your sleep, right? So, tracking your mat time. What I like to do with blokes that are doing a lot of mat time is I like to either allocate a colour code. So it's either a green session or a red session. Or if they have personal preference, say if they're doing, 10 rounds it's basically, as long as they follow that 80-20 rule, and that's in the weekly or whether that's per session. So let's say, for example, they do 5 rounds of sparring at the end of their session. 4 of them rounds will be light and technical and problem solving. 1 will be fast-paced, ridiculously fast-paced. Or what you can do is 4 of your jiu-jitsu sessions in the week are chilled out, problem solving, methodical, working on certain parts of your game, and that 1 session will be really fast-paced. And you can work it as 1, 2, 3, 4, easy, problem solving, methodical, 5th. And as I say, you can either do this on the weekly basis or the sessionally basis, right? So track that. You need to keep on top of how much pace you have been producing on the mats, and how many times you've been doing the gentle art. You know, it's chess. You know what I mean? All of this, you need to be tracking this in order to keep doing it every day. So you need to take it seriously. Next thing, you need to track your workouts. Rule number 1 of strength training: do not change your exercises every session. Like, you need to be doing the same exercises through a full range of motion, pretty much exactly the same every single week. And you need to track how much weight you've lifted, how many reps you've done, and yeah, that's pretty much it, all right? The exercise is completed, how much weight you've lifted, how many repetitions you've done, right? And then you need to have the intent to improve that every single week. Add an extra rep on, add better technique on. Do you know what I mean? Every single week you are forcing your body to get stronger. And the only way you truly know how much you've lifted, because we don't remember every exercise, is by tracking it, by writing it down, whether that's on a notebook, whether that's on your phone, whether that's on an app. Next thing, tracking your, fuel intake. I've mentioned fuel intake, but making sure you're all over it. Making sure that you've got your calorie total for the day and you are dividing it up into meals. You know how much rice you need to eat, you know how much beef you need to eat, chicken, rice, veg, yogurt, oats. All of this stuff is sorted using your calorie total, and you're dividing that up into simple meals. You're weighing your food out. You're literally preparing your meals on a set of scales. It doesn't take any longer than it would preparing your meals on, not a set of scales. You're all over it. You're tracking it, and you know exactly that this is how I need to. This is the food I need to operate at that higher level. The last one is tracking your sleep. When you wake up, how many hours sleep did I have? 7. If it's 4 days down the line and you've got 6 hours sleep, 5 hours sleep, and you're trying to go, you're feeling a bit shit, you just look at the number. And what you do is you reflect on the previous 7 days' data. And that's what we do on the longevity program, where I am the oversight and I make all the decisions on the previous 7 weeks of data. So yeah, that's what I do. And that's how we run things on our program. But more importantly, these are the principles in which you should be doing to operate as a frigging professional grappler that can grapple every day. And most people aren't doing any of these, right? If you just did these loosely, you would get unbelievable results, right? If you did these religiously, it would absolutely change your life. And this is what we do, as I say, we instill this on day 1 on the longevity program when I work with grapplers over the age of 40, over the age of 50, over the age of 60, injured, injury prone, and injury free. If you are interested in the longevity program, the links will be in the description. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and I'll see you tomorrow.